Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee says he doesn't want stupid people to vote.
I believe we have a crisis of citizenship in this country, and that people aren't engaged properly at the grassroots in order to control and rein in government. What do you prescribe for citizens to do? How should people begin to get involved so that we can fix this crisis of citizenship and bring back this balance between self-governance and government?
Don, I know that most politicians say we want everyone to vote. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. I don't want everyone to vote. If they're so
Unless
stupid.
they're voting the right way.
Well, that's right. If they're going to vote for me, then they need to vote. If they're not going to vote for me, they need to stay home. I mean, it's that simple. But in the big picture, there are people who vote and they have no idea what our Constitution says. They have no idea what the limitations of government are supposed to be. The fact that the 10th Amendment expresses it very clearly, that if it's not expressly written in our federal charter called the Constitution, those powers stay to the states.
I don't want anybody to vote. Yeah, that's real funny, jackass. Really? You don't want anybody to vote? I love how they're just laughing it up over there like, oh yeah, totally, we don't want people voting. That's great. You know, that sounds pretty familiar.
I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
That was Paul Weyrich, who was of course, the father of the modern conservative movement and the Christian moral majority. Something that Huckabee identifies with. Huckabee is also part of the Christian right moral majority. Yes, he doesn't want people to vote because, well, his power goes down. He has less of a chance to succeed if less people vote. In fact, that's why you see a lot of conservatives against voting, against things like the Voting Rights Act, for example. That's why you see a lot of conservatives for voting restrictions, voter IDs. Oh, no, that's just to keep illegals from voting. That's to keep our elections fair and honest, so that we don't get people voting twice or three times. You know, most of the times you have voter fraud, it's perpetrated by conservatives. So don't push that bullshit here, because it's not going to work. The facts don't bear it out. In fact, you have more of a chance of getting killed by a vending machine falling on you than somebody perpetrating voter fraud. Really, it's that low. It's a non-issue. So the whole narrative, the whole idea that our election system is plagued with fraud, you could say it is plagued with fraud. But from conservatives, the very ones who are screaming about fraud, they're the ones perpetrating it. As I said, this is why this shows that they are against voting and why they're against voting. Besides, Huckabee said also that anyone who doesn't vote their way is considered stupid. Well, no, it's actually, as I said, and as they said, it's actually a fact that the less people vote, the more power conservatives have in elections, because their policies go directly against the will of the majority of the people. They don't represent the majority. You think most Americans think corporations are people? Doubtful. You think most Americans can't wait to just get out and vote for tax cuts for the rich? You think that's what happens? People are encouraged not to vote. People are outright blocked from voting with things like voter ID laws, specifically minorities and college students, also elderly people, most of whom identify as liberal or liberal leaning. Is that a coincidence? Not so much. Look, man, I'm going to talk to you guys who are independent voters right now, okay? Independent voters, take notes. Take note. This is what the Republican Party thinks about you if you don't agree with them, if you don't vote their way. Now, I want everyone to vote, because I think that's our civic duty. In fact, most liberals, I would argue all liberals, want everybody to vote. And the Democratic Party seems to be the only party that's actually working and trying to expand the vote. And well, when it comes to the Republican Party, you need only listen to some of their founders and to some of the people who are running as Republicans, and to look at some of their policies that they back when it comes to voting. Once you do that, you start to see what they're all about.